Hello everyone, Alpha Sentry here once again, and today bringing you a very exciting piece of news. We have right here on the screen Duelyst patch 1.96. It is in fact already out, so when you open your game you're going to have to update. And this is a huge patch. Not many people saw it coming. Lots and lots of changes, so I'm going to try and keep it swift here, give you guys the rundown. Some of my analysis on the changes as well, because there is a lot of balance changes. Yeah, let's just dive right in here. So, yeah, it's already deployed. The first major piece of news here is the whole rotation thing with standard and unranked mode, standard and unlimited. Counterplay games basically going back on that. So there's no longer going to be two queues. There's no longer going to be standard where you can only play, cards from the latest expansions, and unlimited where you get to play all your cards. Nope, they're going back to the way we had it before, where everything is unlimited. There's only going to be one ranked queue, and you can play all your cards again. So this is great. This means all those Shimza cards we haven't been able to use, we can use them again. Opens up a lot of new archetypes, a lot of old archetypes, cool combos, a lot of deck building space there coming back. Kind of the unlimited meta coming into standard and being more relevant now. And to go with this, because obviously you can't just do that, the unlimited meta was like a little sketchy, and people have been, there's been some complaints about some cards on the rank ladder as well. So to go along with that, let's just take a look at this huge list of balance updates. So I think one thing I am allowed to say is a lot of these are due to Riverraft and Sibin. I think I'm correct in saying that kind of on their way out of Counterplay games, they left little, a note with a lot of their suggested balance changes, and clearly a lot of these have been taken into consideration. And this is going to be a huge switch up on the Duelyst meta, so lots and lots of changes. There's going to be a ton of new stuff to explore. For people like me, it's basically like a whole expansion drop, just because they change, what cards are viable and what cards aren't. Before we get into all that, let's just take a look down at the bottom here. New cosmetics and skins. So all of those awesome boss skins, you can now purchase for diamonds or for spirit. So, man, I just wish I had like 1,000,000 spirit to spend on all these, because some of them look so cool. Definitely going to be slowly buying these. And yeah, a little. Right. Yeah, we have the Mark II General skins as well. So your Cypheron, Maeve, all of the newer generals, and now you can get Mark II skins for those as well, I believe. Yeah, a little note here about the boss battles. They're now going to have Bloodbound spells, and obviously it's going to be different for each boss, introducing a cool little element there. And a few bug fixes. So probably the most important one here. Let's see where it is. Yeah, the Memivore combo deck that was clearly an unintended interaction and was kind of putting a damper on a lot of people's love of the meta, has been deleted in such a way that the old Decimus decks stay intact, so we can be pretty thankful for Counterplay for that. Aspect of Ego now works properly, fantastic. Lionize is gone from its mostly bad and bug state to its proper, absolutely terrible state. Hate Furnace now says what it does instead of not. And yeah, I think that's about it. You can get your Trials of Mithron cards and season rewards and free cards and what have you. Right, so let's really get into the meat here and talk about these balance changes. I'm not gonna spend too long on each one here because I want to try and keep this a bit short. But Dawn's Eye 6-5. That's huge. This card is like playable now. So we can definitely see some stacking Regalia, stacking Dawn's Eye. Maybe even that old style control liner that relied on the artifacts to finish the game. Maybe that will come back and be a good deck. We'll have to see. Peacekeeper, probably still bad. Radiant Dragoon. You know, it was always alright. It just means if you play it on turn 1, it's going to be a 3/5 now, which is good, but probably not enough to see play over land as other 3 drops. Solarius changed from 6 to 5. This is absolutely huge, I think. You know, it gives Lionel the opportunity to essentially run 6 copies of Trinity Oath. And it gives Titan a really, really solid draw option as well, I think. I think it's absolutely playable on 5. Probably not overpowered or anything to complain about, but we'll have to see. Bombard 6 to 5. A nice little boost to I want to say Mech Songhai, but they have the Cannoneer card, so they never even wanted Bombard. So yeah, I'm not sure what this actually does, but it's nice because it was absolutely garbage at 6. Maybe it'll have a place at 5. Calligrapher, cards immediately. That makes the card good. I think you can feel a lot better about playing Calligrapher now, honestly. It does make the RNG a lot more prominent though, because you know, if you play it on 7 and then you pull a Jux, that's absolutely huge. So a bit swingier, but definitely good, definitely playable. Coal Fist, 4/4 to 5/5, 4/4 to 5/4. That's good because it was bad. Now I think it's playable. You can put this in your deck and not feel bad about it. You'll probably find a place in some aggro decks. Dust Rigger, stats change from 2/3 to 3/3. Probably mostly irrelevant. It does mean when you attack with this, it has 5 attack on backstab, so you can take out lots of things. So, you know, you can feel less bad about putting this in your deck now. And the decks that kind of, you know, might have played it before but wouldn't because it was bad, you know, maybe you can fit that in there now. Katara, coming back from Shimza and being nerfed immediately. Probably a good thing because that card was absolutely overpowered. Backstab 1 now, so it's a 1/3 with only backstab 1 for 1 mana. Definitely will still have a place, but I don't think it'll be ubiquitous in aggro Songhai like it was before. Manakite Drifter, 3/3 to 5/5. I think this is probably still bad, but you can play it and, you know, not feel bad about putting this in your deck now if you want the effect. Could also potentially see some play in build Songhai with a, you know, Timekeeper, because then you can play Timekeeper and you get your mana back, so it's only 2 mana. Maybe. 5/5 is nothing to scoff at. Mask of Shadows, your general gains 1 attack. This is a little bit scary. So, for those newer players, there was a time when it used to give 2 attack, and it was absolutely ridiculous. You know, it was the tier probably tier 0 deck at the time was like an aggro Songhai where you would play Mask of Shadows, and if they come close, you backstab them with Silhouette Tracer, and if they run away, you equip a Cyclone Mask and shoot them to death. So, you know, a little bit scary. I don't think we'll be seeing that quite again, but it's definitely a good card now. Something to be on your mind. Speaking of on your mind, we have Mind Cage Oni. Going from 4/3 to 3/2. That's a pretty big hit. The card was really, really good, but you know, now it's probably gone from, you know, an excellent inclusion to something you have to think a bit more about before putting in your deck. It's not like Mind Cage Oni was an auto-include anyway in the first place, but I think it's still playable at a 3/2. Penumbrax got bigger. Build Songhai was already decent. That's a little bit scary, but I can't really comment on that yet. We'll have to see how it turns out. Sparrowhawk, now playable at 3/3. So, you know, it's still not a great body, but it doesn't die to a general hit, which is pretty huge. So you can include this in your Arcanist decks now and feel good about it. Susan Batchy is a 1/4 for 2 mana now, with its ability giving it more attack. So, pretty scary card now. It's no longer like a joke card. It's a pretty big body for turn 1. I have to see how that turns out. I don't think it will be like a Katara replacement by any means, but some decks I definitely expect to see this. Twilight Fox, 3/3 to 3/4. You can play this in your backstab decks and not feel terrible, but I don't think it's bringing it up to the meta. And Grandmaster's Endo, 4/6 to 3/6. So on the face of it, this looks just like a nerf, but then you have to keep in mind you can now inner focus it and deal 6, which is it's not nothing. So a little bit scarier in aggro, a fair bit weaker in kind of the mid-range decks that would typically run it. Uh, I I know a lot of people felt really bad playing against Grandmaster Zendo, so I can't blame them for doing this. Probably a good change for the game in the long term. Speaking of a good change for the game in the long term, Nimbus gone from 4 to 5. So you're no longer going to have those vets just blowing you out by drawing multiple Nimbuses. I mean, it's still on the table, you can still absolutely do it, but it's going to be really hard for them to find the time to skip a 5-mana turn just to play the first Nimbus. So I'm not sure this will see much play anymore. Here's hoping. Dustweaver, mostly irrelevant change from 1-1 to 2-1. People did run this. I think it was bad. I still think it's bad. Equality Constraint, gone from 2 mana to 1 mana. Pretty interesting change for Cypheron. I think it's definitely playable. Like, it's more playable now at 1 mana. I'm not totally scared of it yet, but we'll have to see. It'll always be a good counter pick against certain archetypes, I think. Falcius, coming back from Shimza and immediately getting deleted again. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to play this on 4 mana. And Lost in the Desert, dealing 5 instead of 6, so still absolutely playable. It still does more or less the same thing, it's just a bit less punishing, because you're only taking 5 damage. Minor change there, I think, but appreciated. I'd say it's like on the face of it, it looks pretty well balanced now. Nose going to 6 mana. I can't say I was ever overwhelmed by the Nose deck, but I think the reasoning for this is probably in the lower levels like Silver and such. It's just such an easy goal to go for, and the payoff is so huge. I can imagine Nose being fairly oppressive down in the lower levels. So probably a good change overall there. Oserix going to 6 mana with a stat change to match it. That's pretty good. I think, before it was a meme, now it's probably still a meme, but you can feel better about it. It's absolutely playable now, I think. But, well, I mean, you can play it. It won't be meta, but it'll be decent. Pantheron going to 8/8, which is absolutely huge. That's a 6 mana 8/8. That's that's just a Storm Metal Golem, except you can play it for free. I don't think this will be meta because it's such a weird goal to play all the wishes, and it's pretty hard to get done consistently. But if you do it, this is a huge payoff now. I think. Free Storm Metal Golem. Portal Guardian going to 8 health. I mean, I wasn't around when Portal Guardian had like 9 health or whatever it did originally, but I can. It's already kind of a pain to clear off. 8 health for a 3-drop. That's pretty huge. So I think this can definitely make its way into some meta decks. It's fairly scary now again, and without the likes of Zenrui around, as it was the first time, I don't know. A little nervous about that one. Senses to Sound going to 4/4. Not a huge change there. It does make the idea of using Synaptic Arbitrage or whatever it is to give a Senses to Sound to your opponent to kill them with Kanunka. That makes it slightly more hilarious because you can take more stuff. I don't see this being ever relevant. Sansor Reader going from 3/4 to 3/3 is definitely relevant. It's still going to be played because it's still a good card, but the body's slightly less meaningful, slightly less OP. I think we can all be happy about this. Whispers of the Sands, again, coming straight back from Shimzan, being deleted immediately. You can tell the devs are really nervous about Obelisk Vet coming back with all of its old tools and all of its new tools. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure you play this anymore, but I can't say I'm too sad. Honestly, it was a little ridiculous. And Windstorm Obelisk going to a 2-drop Obelisk. That's definitely interesting because the health is a lot more relevant now. You have Iron. Yeah, you have the Iron Dervishes and such. it's definitely relevant. It's just at 4 health it dies fairly easily, so the health isn't ever going to be that important, because if it's, if it's the 1 point of difference, and then you can just clear the obelisk and then the stuff dies anyway. So I still don't see this being played, but it's definitely more playable at 2 mana, I think. Worth noting, now there are 3 playable obelisks at 2 mana, so you don't have to run anything else if you want. I think you probably should. Abyssian, Aphotic Drain going to 1 mana. That's a good change. It was really, really like tempo negative card, and it did have kind of niche uses in Sarlacc decks and whatever. And now it's probably actually good in those decks. Like, it's a good card if you build around it properly. Desolate going to 2-1. I'm totally on board with this. It was a little crazy. A little bit crazy. A little bit of a crutch for Abyssian there. So 2-1, it still does exactly the same thing. It's just you can kind of ignore it because it's not going to hit you for 3 anymore. It's just going to hit you for 2. And yeah, you can clean it up a lot easier. Horrific Visage. -4 attack instead of -3. Definitely cool, definitely cool. You can play this now and it'll be better. Again, it's the same kind of super niche usage as Aphotic Drain. It's Horrific Visage. But in those niche cases, it will be better. And that leads to more diversity, so we can't say no. Night Fiend going to 4-4. I still don't think this is good. I still don't think you ever play this card. Skull Prophet going to 2-4. Classed as a nerf here with the underline, but I think we all know that it's actually a buff. Right? The 2-4 stat line is just so much more durable than the 3-3. Especially when your opponent gets surprised and loses an attack. Still don't think this is playable, but to catch your opponent off guard, it'll be better. And Sphere of Darkness has been absolutely butchered here. Going from 1 mana to 2 mana, and it only targets enemy minions. So I think you only run this in really dedicated creep lists. But again, before it was kind of like an auto-include in every deck, no matter what. So I think you definitely have to think a lot more about putting this in your deck now at 2 mana. And it loses a lot of the utility. So I think we can be fairly happy about that. The Releaser going to 2 mana, it's still a joke card. Dreadnought going to 4-7. Potentially playable at this point. It was already kind of good, just slow. Now it's good and slow and slightly bigger. And I think it just depends on the state of Egmar and how much Egmar kind of needs a top end like Dreadnought. Talking of Magma top ends, Flaming Stampede is up to 8 damage. So Flaming Stampede, for those of you who don't know what it did, which I assume is most of you because the card used to be terrible, it was 8 mana, deal 5 damage to everything that isn't an egg. So dealing 8 damage now, it's basically an AoE spiral technique, which is absolutely huge. So it's kind of like, it can be a finisher now for aggro decks. If your deck has a lot of healing, it's just a ball clear that pushes face damage. In the Wizard Magma deck, which has been kind of being developed now by Re, I think that will definitely be a powerful player there. Definitely something to be scared of. Morinka to 6 seems decent because Egmar was getting a lot of tools back. Notably, it's getting Lava Lance back, which is unchanged. So I think it's good to tone down some of their cards. I think you can still play Morinka on 6 if you really want to. But the hatching minion, whose name escapes me, the 4 mana 3/3 hatch and egg, is probably the better choice now at this point. Omniseer, a nice little change there, means you don't have to have a minion anymore. That was kind of the point that made it fairly awkward to use, in my opinion. Now you can use it to overwrite tiles and do all that fun stuff. So yeah, this is a good card. I'm not sure if this pushes it over the edge into being played in meta decks yet. Probably not. Silithar Elder, a bit bigger. Alright. Tremor going to 1. So that's a little scary, because that's a 1 mana stun a 2/2 area. So in super aggressive Starhorn decks, say that don't care about dropping 1 mana and losing a card, will definitely be pretty scary. Again though, it's fairly niche, so I'm not sure it will make its way into most meta decks. Verdant Fulmination, going down to 3 cost, a nice little buff to Gromar there, but probably still not enough to let it see play. And Veteran Silithar going to 4/4, so this is a change that I think people have been asking for since it got nerfed way back. It used to be a 4/5, went to a 4/3 and became absolutely terrible. 4/4 is a nice little sweet spot where I think it's a good 4-drop, but it's it's right on the edge of whether it's good enough to be played, and I'm still not really sure. And Visionar going from 6/3 to 5/6, so I think this card grows every time any player draws a card. So it'll come down as a 6/7, which is absolutely huge for a 5-drop. So yeah, Magmar just got a huge guy that grows one more. Not sure if this is going to go in most decks, but I think there will definitely be a deck for it. It's because it's so big. It's so big now. It's like a Black Solace level 5-drop at this point. Aspect of Shimzar. Up to 3, so you can't abuse Aspect of Shimzar and Thunderhorn as early on. I think this is totally fine at 7 mana, and your Thunderhorn's only a 4/4 now, which we'll get to later. So I think the combo is absolutely fine. It gives you a reason to play the other aspects, like Aspect of the Bear and Aspect of the Fox, which is always nice, because Shimzar was kind of pushing them out there. Yeah, I would say a good change overall. You probably don't play this in most decks anymore. Essence Sculpt going to 0. Maybe there's an Alina Arcanist deck out there now. I think this is playable at 0. It adds a copy of a stunned minion to your hand, so you can stun something and put it in your hand for 0 cost and play it back right away. I think this was definitely a nice little buff to Alina decks. Okay, what else do we have? Frigid Corona, no longer a General Stun, which is absolutely huge. I think you just jammed it in most Vanna decks before this, and even if you didn't draw a turn 1, just Frigid Corona turn 1. Later on in the game, it's not that much mana, so you just play it and see what you get. And it was a really impactful card. Now it misses generals; it's a lot less impactful, I think. It doesn't. It takes away phase way to deal with aggressive generals, like Vath or even Arjon that just want to get up in your face. So pretty big there. Ice Age going from 7 to 8. This was printed last set, and the idea was you play Ice Age on 7, Winter's Wake on 8, and then that kills the opponent no matter what they do, basically. That was a nice little unlimited combo. Now it's coming to standard, it's being slowed down by a mana, which is absolutely fine by me. People can still play this combo if they want, but now it happens on 8 mana and 9 mana. And typically Vanna had a lot of ways to get up to those high mana counts early, but Mana Death Grip going from 1 mana to 2 mana here. That card was a little too good for what it did, I think. You compare it to, Crystal Wisp and even Shivers. It just completely outclassed them, being a ping, removal, and also ramping you. Now I'm not sure you would want to play this except in the most dedicated ramp lists. So Vanna loses a lot of its just a lot of its ways to ramp. Before it used to be able to run Death Grip and Crystal Wisp. Now it's a lot more inconsistent that you're going to get that ramp off. Dredger, going from 3 to 1, makes this an actual good card. So for 1 mana and punching your opponent, you can send them all the way back to your starting side of the battlefield. I think this is going to be big. I think this is going to be a good card. I think there'll be a deck for this card. Probably a Fey deck, probably a stall, run away, and send the opponent's stuff over to the other side of the board and run away and cast Warbird. I think that will be a deck. I don't know if it'll be good or not, but the Dredger, definitely playable now. And going to be fairly annoying, I can imagine. A little bit of RNG introduced there. And Wind Sister Maya, friendly minions with Infiltrate have +1/+1. I think before it used to give Infiltrate on summon. So a nice little quality of life buff there. You know, I don't think Infiltrate is a deck now. I don't think it will be for a while. This change doesn't help Infiltrate be a better deck. But if you do want to play an Infiltrate deck, you know, you can feel better about playing Wind System Eye. It's a pretty good card in Infiltrate decks now. Neutral, Alter Rex, 4/4 to 5/5. I still think there's a lot better things you could be doing with Mechazor than using Alter Rex, but you know, in those meme decks, you can feel a bit better at playing Alter Rex. T2K going from 1/4 to 1/5, it was already a good card in my opinion. I'm not really sure what this buff is about, but we take it. Build decks were always fun, and now they're going to be a lot better with a 1/5 T2K5. Alright. Artifact Hunter, 3/3 to 3/4. It's nice. Before, you know, there'd be lists where you want to run Artifact Hunter, and then you think, oh, it's so bad, it's a 4 mana 3/3. Now you can feel a bit better about putting it in your deck. And here's the change everyone's been waiting for. Astral Crusader going to, whenever you replace this card, it costs 3 less and gains +3/+3. So before it was, I believe, a 7 mana, definitely 7 mana, I think it was a 6/7 or something. Yeah, honestly, I don't know, because I disenchant them on site and no one ever plays them. But now it's a lot less of a meme. So you replace it once, draw it back, and it costs 4 mana. And it's, what, a 9/10? 4 mana 9/10? Does that sound good by anyone? So, you know, this is the kind of RNG that you got with the Abyssing card that shuffles a Mechazor into your deck. Now, you replace this on turn 1, draw it back turn 2, you know, walk your 2-drop onto the mana tile and play a 9/10. That's some RNG if I ever saw it. Calculator. So I'm not really sure I'm too happy about the Astral Crusader change, to be honest. It does mean we will get to see its awesome pixel art, though, which is always a plus. Calculator going from 5 to 4 cost. This has the stats of all the battle pets in your hand or something like that. I think it's still absolutely a meme, even at 4. Duelyst, the Tombstone going to 0/8, which is nice. You know, no longer are you worried about double Divine Bond on a Tombstone killing you from 20. It's still, Duelyst is still a great card, and the fact that it's coming back out of Shimsa is good for a lot of decks, probably gonna help to slow the meta down a little bit. And here, my personal favorite change of the whole patch, EMP, no longer 9 attack, infinity health. Now it's a 7/7, which means you can trade into it on board, which is absolutely fantastic, because it was completely overtuned before. You know, getting that huge effect, breaking all the artifacts, that just counters some decks by itself. Breaking, you know, dispelling everything, that counters some decks by itself. And being a 9/9 counters some decks by itself. So now you can trade into it on board. It's no longer just this huge minion. And you're actually paying stats for the massive game-changing effect. So, lovely change there. Alright, here we have Envy Bear going to 5 mana 3/10. Hello, Ironcliff Guardian, except when you hit it, it teleports you to a corner. What? Like, this is probably one of the best 5-drops now, in my opinion. Yeah, so you can play this like even in Songhai and Inner Focus and teleport stuff and be left with still a huge body. So pretty funny. I mean, I can't say, I think it's going to be a lot of fun seeing this card on ladder for a while, until the RNG kind of makes us sick of it. But you know, for now, I'm interested to see what this card can do. And sticking with the streamer cards, Grincher reducing the cost of the artifact by 3. Like, what? So you can absolutely play this guy in your artifact decks now. And I'm not even sure it's a meme. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good in artifact decks. RNG swingy, sure. You know, sometimes you'll get the Wraith Crown or the Ghost Azalea that do nothing for your deck, but sometimes, 0 mana Bangle, 1 mana Claws, 1 mana Arclight Regalia. It seems good. Hydrax going to 3/4, still unplayable. Inquisitor Kron, they got rid of Steve, but they made him a 4/5. So this is basically the nerf everyone wanted from the Kron meta, I think. And Kron is playable again. Something I'm really looking forward to. So between Kron and Envy Bear, I think there's now a solid core of neutral 5-drops, which is something that we can be really happy about, I think. Yeah, they both kind of work to slow down the game and counter aggro in some respects, so I think we can expect to see a decent amount of mid-range coming out of this patch, powered by these strong 5-drops. Lady Lock going to 2/3. Alright, if you want to play Lady Lock, it's decent now. Not sure what deck really wants this right now, but in the future, it's a nice change. And, okay, oh my god, this Purgatus change. It's a 3/5 now. It was already, not terrible before, but at 3/5, it's a Spelljammer that heals and deals damage and does whatever. You're going to get 2 procs off now, pretty much guaranteed. You threaten to get 3 procs off just by playing Purgatos. So I think this is probably one of the better 4-drops in the game now. Definitely one of the better neutral 4-drops. Definitely still better than Sanguinar, that's for sure. Your Bloodbound spell costing 0. Mostly a minor meaningless change. Some niche cases. So Geomancer combos with it properly now. Variax. But apart from that, it's a nice little change, but I don't think Sanguinar will see play anytime soon. Another point of attack on Saboro. This is the guy who has Death Touch, but only to neutral minions. I don't see that being good. Spriggan. 8/8? What? That's huge! 6 mana, 8/8, and summon some Spriggan dudes. Alright, so we have RNG 6-drop in the game now. I don't think this will be played, but decks where you want to play it, it'll be decent. It's a decent 6-drop now, I think. Alright, now on to probably the 3 really super impactful changes here. Sunsteel Defender coming back off of rotation, but going down to a 3/3. So I don't think this is playable. It's another case of coming back from the Shimzar rotation and getting deleted immediately, as far as I can see. So also Thunderhorn. Everyone been complaining about this, myself included. It was definitely pushing out basically every other 4-drop in every deck. Down to a 4/4. So this is huge. Now, you can still play Thunderhorn if you want, but it dies to things. It dies to Mecanto, dies to Immo, dies to Lava Lance, dies to Draining Wave. You can't just put a Thunderhorn in the back. It dies to Rebuke. You can't just put a Thunderhorn in the back and your opponent be forced to run away or make some weird play to play around Thunderhorn. Now there's actual answers in the game that you have access to when Thunderhorn comes out, which is fantastic. Yeah, I'm super happy about this change as well. And the final change here, Zix, going from 1 to 2, so Strategist Swarm, all those, yeah, this is pretty big nerf to Strategos, honestly, but pretty big nerf to Swarm Lilith as well, and basically any Swarm deck, any of those janky, Magma Swarm or whatever, any kind of Swarm deck, definitely going to feel the loss of Zix there, because I'm not sure you play it for 2 mana. You still might in some, but I don't think so. So yeah, just to recap, getting a lot of tools back with Aspect of Shimzar coming back. Egmar gets some stuff back, but Creep gets some stuff back. Spear comes back for Songhai. But you can see Counterplay have put a decent amount of thoughts in. A lot of buffs to older cards, which is really nice to see. Nerfs to kind of the problem cards at the moment, I would say EMP, Thunderhorn, and Accumulonimbus. Got rid of those. Some new cards that have gone from absolute meme tier to playable, like the Dredger and Envy Bear. even Flaming Stampede. So, new stuff for people to play with here. And you can also tell they've been careful about what they're bringing back. So, stuff like Spear of Darkness, which would have had that huge combo with the Tormentor. They're being careful with that. And then some really random buffs like Purgatos. Now a playable 4-drop. Essence Sculpt, that's nice. Tremor, a card to worry about. Like, all of these cards that were out there before and didn't see play, now you have to worry about them, which is absolutely awesome, I think. Yeah. So, before we used to have kind of that neutral strong 4-drops. A lot of these have been nerfed, Duelyst Sunsteel. I'm not sure if Purgatos is really going to fill that gap. And we have power neutral 5-drops now, which is interesting. Yeah, Lionar didn't really get too much, but everything else, new stuff to try out for everyone, I think. And I'm super excited to get to deck building here, that is for sure. Especially with cards like EMP and Thunderhorn nerfed. Fantastic. Alright, that's going to be it for today, guys. So I would definitely say stay tuned to this channel, stay tuned to the Reddit and the forums and wherever you go, because we're going to be seeing a lot of innovative deck building coming out in the future. I expect some more videos here. And yeah, honestly, I'm just super excited to see where this meta goes. All of these random cards coming back. It'll be fantastic. Alright.